Because this, again, human tendency that anything that was imposed on you as a fearful mechanism, the moment you are able to escape it, you will escape it. Or you will try to escape it. You see? So many of these models of antiquity that were put in place for us as human beings to learn from or instill ethical regulation by means of fear does not work. So ethics is not something that can be imposed through external dimension. It is something that has to be generated through internal reflection. Religious guidelines may be able to help, may be able to guide those internal reflections, but it has to be developed out of this sense of care, meaning that when I cross the red light, will I hit a car? Will I injure another human being? Perhaps it's better for me to wait for 5 minutes. So this simple sense of care, optimizing it, and then developing a lifestyle, developing a conduct for oneself on how to live, based on these insights, these ethical insights that an individual has. So I think we have come to that kind of juncture where I think we need to move beyond. I think there are a lot of arguments happening right now. Yesterday I was reading on the flight back, trying to stay awake, I was reading an article by George Soros in the Financial Times. Things people do to keep themselves up, you see. And you see, I mean, again, we are addressing similar kinds of issues that, bailout, financial bailout in this, meaning, we have become, of course, very good at the patch-up work, putting band-aids on things. But is it really going to take care of deeper issues that will guarantee to some degree that these kinds of unethical behavior will not happen again? You see, what are the mechanisms that we as civilized societies can put in? Regulations alone will not work, meaning it has to do with giving individuals tools for insight where they realize that their sense of greed eventually is harmful for themselves, where their sense of jealousy, their sense of hatred, their sense of unethical behavior is not only harming others, but themselves also in the long run. So that is, I think, a very important insight that I think we as individuals, as educational institutions, need to deeply reflect upon. It would have been nice if people just listened to just religious worldviews and said, you'll be punished and you'll be rotting in hell if you don't do things like that. But those models are not working much. My favorite model was, analogy was trying to tell people who are, degrading the environment. I was, of course, coming from a Buddhist point of view and trying to tell them that, according to theories of reincarnation, that, you'll be reborn again in the same land of nuclear wastes and no trees and dirty water, and reaping the fruits of your own action again and again, life after life. But I think that doesn't work either. You see, meaning, from Buddhist worldview, of course, it might have some substantiality. But I think, again, that ethical regulation is something that we as human beings need to generate from within. It is not an external imposition, and it's certainly not something that can emerge from a sense of fear. Religion, I don't believe we can completely do away with it. And I'm not saying that because I'm in a religious garb. I must confess, every morning it's a drill for me to ask myself, do I want to be a monk today? You see? Or do I want to be a religious individual today? Because if not, then it's just a habitual pattern that I'm getting into. And I don't know if I look that cool in these robes or not. Meaning, one doesn't follow any religious model simply because it's fashionable. Again, if as a religious individual, one is not being critical, more importantly, if one is not being self-critical, then I think there's no point of that kind of religion. So religious institutions or religious organizations are there simply to facilitate the cultivation of these insights. They are there to create this kind of support mechanisms. And if they fail to do that, then they have no room in our world. They have no room in our society. So, ethics, religion, and society, the progress, the development is very much intertwined. It's only a phenomenon of late 1600s, post-Enlightenment in Europe, that we have begun to separate things. We have begun to compartmentalize things, where we try to shield our personal life from professional life. We try to shield our religious views in the professional life, as if that we become a completely different human being when we go to church on Sundays and when we go to work on Monday. You see, this kind of artificial compartmentalization is again a very unhealthy process in human development. Right? And as I mentioned, it's a very new development. You see, prior to 1600s, you look at great philosophers; they are great scientists. You look at great scientists; they are great theologians. See? Meaning that there was a sense of integration in what they studied, what they did, what they learned, and how they served a given community. That, again, is something that we are lacking. We are lacking methods of integration. We have wonderful knowledge around us. We live in the age of internet, where information flies at a much faster speed than we can digest it. We are informed about a lot of things, but again, we lack the tools, the mechanism to how to integrate this in our lifestyle. And once we begin to look at just this minor realm of ethics, very important, right? But this realm of ethics, I believe that it will allow us, it will help us to look at deeper ways of integrating things that we learn. Deeper ways of creating structures of interactions, of human interactions, of organizational interactions. Because we are able to integrate that is around us, rather than compartmentalizing ourselves, rather than creating separate chambers. That's a very artificial process. I don't think human beings were cut down for that. And that's why we end up in a society that a lot of depression, a lot of schizophrenia, a lot of things that psychologists like to label, but it all begins with this sense of alienation. The sense of alienation because we are not able to integrate things into us. It's not that we are not able to fit into this world. It's not that we are misfits in this world, but we are simply not able to integrate things of this world, insights of this world into our lives. And that is where I think this model of integration is very important. And this is again something that nowadays educational institutions are beginning to focus on a bit more. So I think we'll take a pause there and maybe take some question and answers. And briefly mention the Center for Ethics, which is a new initiative at MIT that the Dalai Lama has kindly lent his name to, the Dalai Lama Center for Ethics and Transformative Values. And the center is founded, again, on some of these ideas, where, you see, when a student comes to a university, you see, he or she is dedicating at least 4 years of their life in learning. There will never be an opportunity to be able to dedicate at least 4 years of your life trying to learn something. And if that's the time, you don't learn much about yourself, you don't learn about the human condition, you don't learn about the human qualities, then chances are you never learn it. Right? Or you learn it when it's too late to cultivate those tools. So the center is founded on those visions, primarily working in 3 areas: ethics of responsibility, both in the scientific community, international relations, and the business schools. Then enlightened leadership, which again is the basis for the idea that we need to bring in some other kinds of tools, other kinds of methods in the process of negotiation and conflict resolution, looking at long-term impacts of our hour-long or 2-hour-long decisions that we make.